My dear family, there is a couple of things happening in today's gospel, and I'm going to try my best to address them in a very short way. First and foremost, it talks about serpents, talks about condemnation, talks about salvation, it talks about the Son of Man being lifted up, and why on earth is the priest wearing pink? My dear family, today we consider this Sunday Letare Sunday, or in other words, the Sunday we rejoice. The Sunday we recognize that all our journey through Lent is valuable, that suffering has value, and that suffering, if done with Christ, may bring to salvation. And that's supposed to bring us joy, supposed to bring us happiness, supposed to remind us of what we're doing. As we get closer to Holy Week, we will continue under this theme to remember what we have done. The reason why we wear rose, not pink, is because it's a lighter color. It's supposed to bring some sense of peace, some sense of lightness, some sense that yes, we will one day get there. And because of that, we prayed for that light. We pray for Christ to illumine our hearts, to help us see better in our darkness. We pray that He may allow us to follow His path in the middle of our own desert of life. We began Lent with Ash Wednesday just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We began Lent with Ash Wednesday by accompanying Jesus through the desert. And just as Jesus fought against temptation, we too walk through our desert of life fighting against temptation. We do so because Christ has already given us the hope for our fight. He has already given us the value of our struggle. He has already turned the symbol of death into the symbol of life. What used to be the symbol of death for the Roman Empire, it is now the symbol of life for Christians. Just like in the time of the Israelites during the Exodus, when the Israelites were also in their own journey through the desert, they too had to fight against many temptations. But many of them failed, and they chose darkness instead of the light. They began to complain. They began to complain about the food they were getting. They began to complain about the water they were drinking. And not only that, but they began to complain about the God who was saving them from slavery. And lastly, they said, you know what? We do not need you, God, anymore. We will form our own gods, and we will worship them. Hence, they formed golden calves to worship. They chose darkness instead of the light, even though God was giving them the light. And because of that, because of their choice, deadly serpents were sent to the Israelites. But Moses pleaded with God, and God asked Moses to please turn the symbol of their death, in other words, the sting of the serpents themselves, to turn that into a staff and to raise the staff high on the sky so that whoever looks at the serpent may be healed and no longer suffer from the sting of its death. So too, in a very similar way, Christ becomes our symbol of life and healing. The cross is raised high and above for everyone to look, and it is no longer a symbol of death or destruction, but a sure path for our salvation and for life eternal. However, we must choose to look upon that cross. We must choose to embrace the cross. We must choose to face our struggles face to face. We do so by praying more earnestly to be able to see through the darkness, to be able to be illumined through the desert of our lives. For God came to this world to save us, not condemn us. However, He does give us the choice to either look at His cross or look away from His cross. And many times we may choose to reject that salvation. We may choose to complain about the small things like the Israelites. Even though we're being saved, given bread from heaven, allowed to be forgiven in confession, we may choose to look the other way. We may start to complain about smaller things. Maybe we may complain about the job we were given, the times for the Mass, the house we have, the life we have, the car we drive, the family we were given. And instead of looking at the blessings we enjoy, we focused on the complaints we endure. During these next 2 weeks, my dear family, until Holy Week, let us do the opposite. Let us look upon our cross. Let us look upon the cross of Christ. Let us embrace our cross. Let us ask God to illumine our hearts, our souls, and our minds to be able to see the blessing He has given us through our sufferings, the value that our suffering has, what the Lord has accomplished through what used to be the symbol of death, which is now the symbol of life. Let us, during these 2 weeks, do just a good examination of our conscience, of where we are before God.